Welcome to this segment of In the Know Online. I'm Sherry. Today we're going to visit the Royal London Wax Museum in Victoria, British Columbia. It is one of the finest wax museums in North America. Join us as we stroll through the past together. For admission, please. Hello. Today I'm with Ken Lane, General Manager of the Royal London Wax Museum. Welcome to In the Know Online, Ken.
Thank you. Welcome to the Wax Museum.
Thank you. Your wax museum is unique in North America. Can you tell us what visitors see when they come through your museum?
Because we are the Royal London Wax Museum and in Victoria, which is a city known for its tastes of England, what people expect to see when they walk through the front door is British royalty, the British royal family, past and present. And that's the main feature of the top floor, the main floor, as people enter the museum. The royalty in the lobby is a young Queen Victoria. She was 18 when the king died, 19 when she went through the coronation. And then later in the museum, of course, you see Queen Victoria as people recognize her more as the widow of Windsor, so to speak, dressed in black. And her husband Albert had died a number of years before. So that's where people mostly remember her as the elderly queen towards the end of her 64-year reign.
And can you tell us a bit about the history of your museum?
Well, the Wax Museum its roots are in Madame Tussauds in London, although we're quite separate organizations now.
How do you decide what scenes or figures you're going to create for your museum collection?
Paying a lot of attention to the customers coming through, as well as watching what other museums are doing. They're still more interested in the history and the storytelling that we bring to them than they are in seeing the latest celebrities that are in the tabloid issues. So that's our approach, I suppose, at this point is still more historical, although we still try to keep up with the current U.S. President, the current Canadian Prime Minister, and the current British Prime Minister. The current Canadian Prime Minister is a bit of a challenge because it takes 10 months anyway to create a wax figure. So when you have minority governments such as we have had, we haven't ordered the minority leaders, prime ministers, because by the time they arrive in our museum, they might be voted out of office. So we're waiting to see who's going to get a majority government before we order the next Canadian Prime Minister.
Right, that makes good sense. Now, you talked it can take 10 months to get one done. Can you talk more about what the longest one has taken and perhaps the cost of getting one of these created?
Surprisingly enough, Emperor Meiji, chrysanthemum on the throne of Japan, and the time frame that he was on the throne of Japan, which is roughly coincides with that of Queen Victoria. It's called the Meiji Restoration. It wasn't the wax figure so much as the attire that they had to develop for him. The most expensive costuming in the museum is on Emperor Meiji, about 1.5 times the cost of the wax figure itself. And they use real Russian gold braiding and things like that. I mean, if the Emperor was alive today, he could put that on and wear it because it's that authentic. So he was close to 2 years before he showed up, and it was because of the difficulties in crafting the costume that he's wearing.
Where do you get your wax figures from? We
have a sculpting house in England that creates them. Again, it's now called GEMS, G-E-M-S, but it was the sculpting house designated by Josephine Tussaud to create the Tussaud wax figures. So yeah. In our situation, when you're dealing with historical figures, the London people have by far the best access to research on what people wore way back when, and also tremendously talented tailors and seamstresses and so on. So when it comes to the costumes that they wear, there's really no one better that we've found than the folks in England to produce the whole product and have it arrive here.
So in terms of that scene that you're creating, whether it just be the individual wax figure or the scene around it, who is indicating what kinds of things you want? The wardrobe, the scene around it, are you doing that or do you work with them?
Well, basically it's in museum development we decide the look that we want, for example, in Diana, because she had so many looks over the course of her life as Princess of Wales. So we kind of pick the look based on, again, what the reaction of the public will be, what their expectations are. It's a fair bit of research that goes in, but the end result is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And you get surprises. Like across the aisle from us is King Charles II, and his attire arrived, and we couldn't figure out which shoe went on which foot. It didn't make any sense. So we phoned them in England. Says, what's the deal here? We can't tell which shoe goes on which foot. And they said, well, back in King Charles II's day, they didn't have right and left shoes. One shoe fit both sides. There was no such thing as right and left shoes.
Isn't that something? I've learned something new today.
So stick them on any foot you want. It doesn't matter.
Who would ever expect that kind of answer?
Yeah. So again, we're always learning things.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Are wax figures the only things you see at the Royal London Wax Museum?
No. Behind us are replicas of the crown jewels of England, and a lot of them are only seen during a coronation ceremony. But again, the storytelling that goes in with all these crowns and things alone is quite interesting, because you have the first and second largest cut diamonds in the world built into the British crown jewels, and they are stories in and of themselves.
Can you tell me the approximate cost of creating a wax figure beginning to end?
I guess that's a two-part question, because there are wax figures that the London Sculpting House makes quite a number of, like a George W. Bush. And you can probably get that one inside of 6 months. 4 to 6 months you can probably, if again, depending on what else they're doing, you can probably get a George W. Bush wax figure. If you're doing a one-of, which we do a number of, because, I think we're the only wax museum that order someone like a Terry Fox or a Jean Chrétien. That probably 10 to 12 months.
Okay.
And you're absorbing all the sculpting costs. So a George W. Bush will probably cost you in the range, with the current exchange rate, of about $10,000. A one-of will probably closer to $16,000.
And that's because you have to create the molds from the beginning.
Yeah.
What happens with old figures that are retired, so to speak?
Well, we've got a storage area which has got about 110 fiberglass bodies stored away, because we don't have to worry about that. The wax portions are all stored here in the museum. The heads themselves are on display, particularly in a couple of different places. We have what we call the head room, which is people can look through the door, the window in the door, and they can see, just the heads that are no longer in full display. And then we have what we call the head stand, which is in the Chamber of Horrors, where people can actually walk in behind the shelf of heads and be dressed in a black cloak and have their head on the shelf with all the other heads, and have their picture taken. I'm
sure that's very popular.
It can be, yes. It has its moments, particularly when classes are coming through. They like to see their teacher with the head on the shelf. So we get a lot of teacher photos in that particular stand when the school tours are coming through.
Ken, we appreciate the time you've taken to speak with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. This is my favorite topic. I can talk about it for a long time.
We appreciate that. Thank you. That's all we have today for In the Know Online. Don't forget to watch our segment on Amore by the Sea. Bye for now.